nice wheel. First time I've seen it on operation. So there's the. Maybe it's the other one. Slash them down.
Ready, Joan?
I mean, because they go a little bit bad, like, basically, like, the points out that weapon, like, well, several more. We didn't get from. Well, yeah.
You ain't do it. Ready, Joan? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting for December the 10th, 2025. Will everyone please stand for a salute to the flag? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of the meeting has been satisfied in accordance with Chapter 231 PL 1975 by advertising in the Home News Tribune, notifying the Sentinel Publishing Company and the Star Ledger, and also posting on the bulletin board and filing with the Borough Clerk. Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Here.
Mr. Esposito.
Here.
Mrs. Gottstein. Here. Mr. Castlegrant.
Here.
Ms. Casandi. Here. Mr. Cooper.
Under old business, we don't have any continuing or carrying over applications. Our first application that I want to bring up tonight is 2522. Daniel and Annette Hockenjosh of 54 Forest Avenue.
That application is being carried without further notice to the meeting of January 28th, 2026 at 7:30 PM. So if anyone's here for that, it will be heard on January 28th.
The next application that we're hear tonight is 2523 Salvatore Rento of 26 Adam Boulevard.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Are you sworn?
Mr. Rento, would you tell us why you're here tonight?
Was it a process of building my garage?
One
I
second.
don't think it's on.
This one?
Continue.
I was in the process of building my garage that as previously was approved, and it came to an abrupt stop.
Can you tell the board why it came to a stop?
I was told that the height of the building exceeded the permissible limits, and apparently I negated to take into account the measurement of the floor of the foundation of the building, which put me over the height, which now stands at 16 and a half feet.
So you're here tonight to get a variance on the 16 and a half feet means that the ordinance is 15. So you're looking for the other foot and a half, correct?
That's correct.
Just so you know, the zoning officer statement says 17 feet. So are you sure that it's only going to be 16 and a half?
It's a little over, I think it's 16.8 to be technical.
17 is really what you're saying.
We approved the 24 foot and the 24 foot. That is correct?
Yes,
So you're only looking for 2 feet, so to speak.
correct.
I'm going to open this to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in reference to this application? Hearing no one from the public, I'm going to close the public portion. Pleasure of the board concerning this application.
Move the application be approved.
I have a motion and a second to approve this application. Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito,
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein. Yes. Mr. Castle Grant,
Yes.
Ms. Gassondi,
No.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Okay, your application is approved. 17 feet.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Our next application is 2514 Epic Church, 2707 Main Street Extension.
Good evening. My name is Jason Churcha. I'm from the law firm of Walentz, Goldman and Spitzer. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, which is Solar Landscape LLC. The applicant is seeking amended preliminary and final major site plan approval to construct solar carport canopies in the parking lot of the House of Worship located at 2707 Main Street Extension, identified as Block 257, Lot 3.06 on the borough's tax maps. The property is approximately 13.99 acres and is located in the waterfront redevelopment area. However, because the zoning for the property was not changed when it was placed in the redevelopment area, the former SED2 zoning regulations originally put in place prior to 1999 remain applicable. The details of the zoning history of the property are set forth in paragraph 6 of the board's 2021 resolution on this matter. Back in 2021, the zoning board adopted resolution ZB 21-05, granting a use variance to permit construction of the solar carport canopies and a C variance to permit a rear yard setback of 1.3 feet from the southern property line where 25 feet is required. This approval allowed for the construction of 7 solar carport canopies over the existing parking lot. Now, 4 years later, we're here because applicant is proposing to reconfigure the 7 canopies, but reduce their aggregate size by approximately 21 to 22,000 square feet. This new proposal removes the need for the previously approved C variance, as the rear yard setback will comply with the minimum standards set forth in the former SED2 zone. However, the board's planner has identified a front yard setback variance that should have been addressed in 2021 and has asked that we address it now. We also note that though the board's planner indicates a D variance is required, the applicant's position remains that because variances run with the land, the use is now permitted as a result of the D variance granted 4 years ago. And because the proposal reduces as opposed to increases the total square footage of the carport canopies, the new proposal is less intense than the prior proposal and no new D variance is required. Nevertheless, we will put in the proofs for D variance, just as a sort of alternative. Here, the proposed solar panels will be installed in connection with the Community Solar Energy Program. The state first launched the program as a pilot program in 2018, and in 2023, the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities voted to officially establish a permanent program. Individuals and businesses are now able to benefit greatly from solar energy systems without needing to install solar panels on their own property. Instead, solar energy is generated off-site for use by members of the program. Members receive several benefits, including paying a reduced energy bill by utilizing clean and renewable energy resources. Significantly, these community solar projects are required to serve a majority of low and moderate income customers. The applicant has been actively involved in the community solar program for several years and continues to install solar energy systems in municipalities across the state. The record will show that the application conforms to the borough's site plan requirements and that the positive and negative criteria for all the variances will be met. In support of the application, we will rely on the testimony of the following witnesses: Jim Weil, the applicant's representative, Kevin Shelley, the applicant's professional engineer, and Andrew Janu, our professional planner. And just for the record, we're in receipt of the board planner's review letter dated December 4th, 2025, and the board engineer's review letter dated December 10th, 2025. So with that, we'll call our first witness, which is our applicant's representative.
I do.
All right, can you just spell your last name for the record, Mr. Wheel?
Sure. It's James, and it's spelled Weil.
Give you this. Yeah. All right, can you just tell us your role within Solar Landscape?
Sure. I'm the senior manager with, sorry. Senior manager in the pre-construction department at Solar Landscape.
And what type of company are you?
We are a community solar provider. We've been in business since 2012. We are at the forefront of the community solar program ever since it started in 2019.
And about how many employees? You have?
350 roughly.
And so what are the benefits of community solar?
We touched on it before, but the big part is discounted power, green, clean energy.
And do you know what the discount is for this particular project?
Sure. 20%.
And what kind of community engagement do you do?
We'd like to do local events, coordinate with local governments, more grassroots approach and traditional media.
And so going back to the 2021 approval, just to briefly refresh the recollection of the board, do you recall how many solar panels were approved at the time?
At the time, it was 6,171.
And then we also were granted a use variance as well as a C variance for the setback. Is that right?
Correct.
And so why are we making revisions and coming back to the board today?
Yeah, in the meantime, solar panel technology has increased significantly. Panels are more efficient. We just need less of them. The reconfiguring of the arrays largely due to steel tariffs, a little value engineering, and using less steel.
And has the BPU changed the way they award these projects or require these applications to move forward?
Yes, previously we were required to have all non-ministerial permits, zoning, planning prior to submission into the program for award. The project was never awarded back in 2021 when we secured our approval here. The project has since been awarded. Program doesn't require non-ministerial permits prior to submission anymore. So here we are.
And so this new proposal, how many panels are we talking about now? We said we were about 6,000 under the previous approval.
Correct. It is 4,257.
So just why are we reducing the number?
To generate the same amount of power, we just don't need that many modules anymore.
And how many kilowatt hours of electricity are we generating?
Roughly 3 million.
And how many homes will that power?
About 350 on an annual basis.
And then you have your approval from the FAA?
Correct.
And just so that the board understands, when you are coming down the bridge from the parkway, which way are the panels facing in relation to the parkway?
They're facing west and southwest.
So away
Away from
away
the
from the
park, yes.
parkway. So you won't see any glare coming down that bridge.
No.
Okay. And then so our proposal proposes phasing. Can you just kind of walk us through how the phasing will work?
Yeah, so each phase probably lasts 3 to 4 weeks. We'll work closely with the church to, disturb them as little as possible. I know their congregation is very large, so we're not going to take up their entire parking lot at the same time.
And as far as maintenance goes, do you have people on site regularly for maintenance?
Yeah, there's a biannual inspection, nothing too crazy, 2 guys, 1 truck, maybe a scissor lift.
And what is the expected lifespan of these panels?
20 to 30 years.
And then you have a decommissioning plan as well. How does that work briefly?
Sure, we do. We would remove all the modules, the structure, all the electrical equipment, and restore the property to its current condition.
And then so here with this particular site, I know you have sites all over the state. Do you have a lease with the property owner, or what kind of agreement do you have with the property owner?
Yeah, we have a ground lease with the church.
And if we're approved tonight, when do you anticipate construction beginning?
Fabrication would start relatively quickly, and we'd be looking to mobilize mid-spring.
And I guess since you're saying about 3 to 4 weeks for each phase, and we've proposed 4 phases, we're talking maybe 3 months to construct the project?
3 to 4, and then probably an additional 2 to 3 for commissioning, testing.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for this witness.
Does the board have any questions
I do.
of the witness? Proceed.
Can you tell me what situations will break the panels?
Outside of, vandalism, not much. Potentially hail, if we were ever to experience hail that was that large.
Because I actually saw a documentary on solar panels,
Mhm.
and they showed when the hail hit it, there's a lot of chemicals inside of the solar panels, and then they leached all into the soil. And if there's groundwater there, it contaminates the groundwater.
I'm not sure the documentary, but the way our operations and maintenance works, we monitor the system 24/7. So if there is any damage to the modules, we're notified immediately.
Okay, but even so, once it leaches out into the ground, then what?
Well,
Very
it's currently
toxic.
situated on an impervious surface. We wouldn't let it sit we'd replace the modules immediately. They wouldn't have time to leach.
Of course it would. Once it breaks, it goes right into the
Well, there
soil.
aren't liquid chemicals inside the modules. It's metal.
What kind of chemicals then?
Silicon, don't know off the top of my head.
Doesn't that contaminate the groundwater?
I can't really speak to that.
You work for the company, don't you?
Yes. I'm not an environmental professional. I
think,
can't.
yeah,
really-
he's not here as an expert witness. So I don't know we don't have somebody who's here to talk about the chemical, we don't have someone with a chemist background training in chemistry to be able to talk about that specifically.
We have the right to build 6,170. You would have the right to build 6,171 panels right now anyway?
Yes, that's correct. We already have a site plan approval from 4 years ago. So we can build those. We prefer this configuration, which is why we're here tonight.
Solar panels, one way or another. Proof or deny.
Exactly, yes.
Has anything like that ever happened to your knowledge in the past?
Not that I'm aware of.
The question was whether the panels they've built in other locations has occurred, if this breaking
Yeah.
situation has occurred at other locations.
Not to my knowledge.
And they last 20 to 30 years? That's a long time.
Yes, there's actually a performance warranty on the module for 30 years.
Well, basically, you're reducing these panels about 1,800, correct?
Yeah, roughly.
I'd like to ask about the 20 to 30 years. So is the church leasing these, or are you leasing the church?
We're leasing the ground from the church. They receive a compensation through the lease.
Okay, so it's a 20-year lease or with renewals?
Actually,
or-
I believe it's 20 years. Sorry, they vary from project to project. Yes, this is a 20-year lease with 2 optional 10-year extensions.
And you said that once, if the solar panels are not going to be used anymore for whatever reason, you're going to return everything to the way it is. Is there a bond or something that's going to ensure that?
Not currently, but we're contractually obligated to do it.
Okay, as long as your company's in business, and I don't want you to go out of business, but you
I
know,
mean,
things happen.
In
Things,
those instances, a lot of times our asset, or as in the industry, assets are sold off to other bodies of, business.
Are they upgradable, the panels?
I mean, technically, I guess you could replace them, but not in any real appreciable sense.
So
Like this is the upgrade from the other previous modules that we had.
Is your company responsible for the panels that's presently on site?
I don't believe there are any.
I don't think there's any,
Well, you have 6,071 panels there now, correct?
no, I'm sorry, it wasn't built. It was never built. So there are no panels yet. We were approved for that number of panels, but there's not been any construction.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
The 300 homes that it would power, will that stay consistent over the 30 years or will there be degradation of the system in terms of how much power it can output over those 30 years?
There is degradation. It's roughly 0.5% per year.
Any other questions?
Any EV station provider?
No. No.
So it's community solar, so it's not going to power the building directly, yeah.
I guess you would be the best person to ask about removing ice and snow from the panels, it accumulates. Is something you just let melt off, or do you go in and physically remove it?
We typically let it melt. Once the sun hits the modules, they warm up quite a bit and they melt the snow off.
Any issues with it falling to the ground or panels?
We haven't really encountered any. We can install rain guards on it or ice breakers.
If the church called and asked you to come in because there were issues where.
Oh, yeah.
Then you come in and take care of it.
Of course, yeah. We own and operate all these systems. We have our own maintenance and, squads.
Thank you. Well,
How close to the roadway are they?
I think that might actually be a better question for our engineer.
Where is your company located at?
We're headquartered in Asbury Park.
Any other questions? I'm going to call the next witness.
Sure. Our next witness is our engineer, Mr. Kevin Shelley.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
All right, here's-
Do you want me to do the voir dire? All right, okay. So if you could just give us the benefit of your education and professional experience, please.
And get the name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, your name for the record.
Kevin Shelley, last name Shelley. I'm the owner of Shore Point Engineering. I am a licensed professional engineer in New Jersey since 2012. My license is current and in good standing. I've testified in front of various boards across the state, including previously in front of this board during the 2021 approval.
We accept your credentials. Proceed.
Thank you. So if you could. Yeah, put that up.
Two exhibits, like share. Were they previously provided to the board?
They weren't, no.
Mark,
I can email them to you tomorrow, if that,
I just want to
yeah.
know for person, Mark.
sure, fair enough.
So Exhibit A1 is just a colored site rendering of the property. And again, I think it illustrates that the proposed solar carports are shown here in blue. They're over top of the existing parking area across the site. The existing building is shown in the middle of the site in red with the Main Street extension on the right-hand side. The one question that was asked about how far the panels are from the streets, I think this rendering illustrates the separation they are from both Chevalier and the additional future road down on the bottom on the south, as well as there's a 10-foot setback to the Main Street extension, which was the additional bulk variance that was mentioned at the opening testimony. So there's a 10-foot setback from the panels to the front property line along the Main Street extension. Again, it's been discussed. The prior approval was for 6,171 panels, and now we are proposing 4,257. This reduced the overall square footage of the carport areas down to 130,890, which covers approximately 497 parking spaces. Again, some existing parking lot changes have occurred at the property over the past few years. Some parking lots were rearranged, additional parking was added, some drive aisles were reconfigured, and that gave us the opportunity to reconfigure the carports accordingly and change some of the layouts to be more efficient, as well as upgrading the panels. The additional exhibit I have is Exhibit A2. Which is really just a comparison of the prior approval was located on the left side here versus current plans. The top view, top left and top right would be the project's proposal along the Main Street frontage. You can see the prior approval had a little bit of an L shaped in the corner. Would you like me to turn it so you can see? It's also located in the site plans that's submitted, but this is an exhibit that shows, again, the configuration is largely similar. The configuration in the area adjacent to Chevalier, again, largely similar, where the carports are covering the existing parking spaces. Along Chevalier, we've actually pulled the setback from Chevalier back a little bit from what was originally approved. But again, the project, in terms of what was approved originally back in 2021, the carport configurations for what see along the adjacent driveways is very consistent and very similar. But again, we've reduced the overall size of the carports. We've reduced the number of panels as well.
And if you could just talk about the C variance that was granted in the previous application and what we've done in that area of the
Sure.
proposal.
I'm gonna switch back to Exhibit A1. The C variance that was granted previously was for a rear yard setback along the proposed boulevard extension on the bottom of the plan here. Previously, the carports were covering this bottom row of parking spaces and extending beyond the parking spaces. We were approved at a 1.3 foot setback to the rear property line. As you can see in the updated exhibit, those carports have been pulled back from that property line. So the last row of parking is not covered any longer, and that variance has now been eliminated.
And then the board's planner pointed out that the prior approval did have in another location panels closer to the property line than would have been permitted by the zoning, and that wasn't picked up. The application was approved, and now we're also proposing a variance in that location as well. Can you talk about that?
Correct. Yeah. Again, the variance would be along the Main Street extension for the 10-foot setback. It's consistent, the same location as what was previously proposed and approved, but a variance was not previously identified or requested or granted. But again, the proposal is consistent with what was previously proposed and approved.
Can you talk about the height of the canopies, please?
Sure. The canopies are tilted. The minimum clearance underneath the canopy is 14 feet. I believe the maximum height on the high end goes up to 22 feet and 8 inches. 14 feet minimum clearance underneath there is the minimum required by the International Fire Code. It's consistent with the prior approvals and what was previously proposed and approved, which was reviewed by the fire official back in 2021 as well. So again, it's consistent with the prior approval.
And just because I know that's always a concern, circulation in emergency vehicles, is there going to be any issue with that as a result of the canopies?
No, again, in the back of the site plans, the last sheet, we do show a couple exhibits that we prepared previously, which show the vertical clearances. The fire trucks can have the appropriate vertical clearances to drive under the carports and the panels. There's a large enough span in between the drive aisles here on the south side, where there is a gap. While they do overextend the parking spaces, there is a clear span in between the drive aisles. Again, this was all reviewed and approved by the fire official previously, and none of that has changed as part of this application.
And there were some comments in one of the review letters about site lighting. If you could just address site lighting, please.
Sure. So the site, as it stands now, has a lot of light poles that provide site lighting for all the parking areas. We're eliminating a lot of those light poles due to the carports that are being proposed over top of these parking spaces. We have proposed LED light fixtures that will be mounted underneath the carports to provide a lighting that is consistent with what is there now, so that there are no changes to the overall lighting scheme as part of this application.
And is there going to be any kind of meaningful impact on the collection of stormwater that already exists on the site?
No, there's no impact on the existing stormwater management system for the parking lot. As Mr. Will indicated, the carports have a little gutter system that's attached to them. The runoff comes down the carport, it's collected, it's piped down the steel columns that support it and down into the ground to be connected into the underground drainage system. So we don't have water cascading over the top of the panels every time it rains or snow melts. The water's collected and brought down and put into the ground. Into the collection system. It's not put into the ground. It's put into the existing drainage system that's throughout the parking lot.
And is there going to be any impact on the overall Riverton project?
No.
Any environmental impacts or negative environmental impacts?
No.
No.
The only other thing I haven't mentioned is that there is a ground-mounted equipment area located in the front corner of the building, same location that it was previously proposed. There is fencing that is surrounding it, and we've added landscaping as well around the equipment area so that it's enclosed, it's screened, it's protected, and is landscaped nicely so it's out of view.
And I have no further questions for Mr. Shelley.
Mr. Cornell, Mr. Fowler, do you gentlemen have anything you want to add to this?
No, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's engineer has addressed the comments in my report.
Mine also, but anything else that's mentioned in there, you're also going to satisfy in my report in the comments section.
Correct.
Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, just on the ground equipment, is there any high voltage? Because there's a lot of panels here.
So the ground equipment involves transformer, inverters, disconnects, standard equipment as part of this. Again, I think hard to see from an overall standpoint when you look at 14 acres from the aerial, but when you zoom in on that area in the site plans, you see that there's a sufficient amount of equipment to handle the 4,000 panels that are in there.
More concerned with safety of someone getting in if there's high voltage.
Again, that's why it's enclosed. All the panels again, or all the equipment follows the appropriate safety standards. The whole area is enclosed and screened so that it is protected so nobody does get in there. But no, there's nothing that would be, think of a typical transformer. If you were up to a transformer that's on the side of the road, there's levels of safety that it encloses all that stuff within certain cabinets inside of there. It's very similar to out here that everything is enclosed inside of cabinets so that it's, nobody tampers with it and, gets hurt.
It's more logistics question, just for my curiosity. So how are you transporting the energy from there to wherever? It's not all going to the church, correct?
No, it's not going to the church. It's being put back into the power system through the electric company.
Oh, so and they do with what they want. It's not
Yes.
going to individual houses or locations.
Yes, the power is generated here, put back into the electric company to then distribute as part of the community solar program.
You sell it to them and so on and so
You
forth.
sign up for the community solar program, you go online, you type in your address, you answer a couple questions. Anybody within the town of Sayreville or adjacent communities can sign up for the program. I'm a member of Community Solar myself. I do a lot of projects with them. It's great. It's an automatic reduction on your electric bill. Besides the fact that Community Solar does account for 51% that does get set aside for low, moderate income housing. Every member of the town is eligible to apply for it. So it's, again, it's taken back, it's sent back to the system for the electric company to distribute.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you seen other communities that have this many panels?
Yes, I've seen a lot of communities with this amount of panels. We don't, a lot of them go on warehouses when you talk about the size of a project like this. We do a lot of projects on warehouses, self-storage facilities. We've done multiple projects that have several thousand panels on them.
Any problems have occurred?
No,
And that side setback is 10 feet only?
the setback to Main Street is 10 feet for the panels or for the
And
carports.
what's required?
I believe.
Right, because it's technically a front yard, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think 60 is correct.
60 is required, but you're doing 10.
Correct, 10, which is again, yes, it's consistent with the prior approval, but yes, it was not identified that that was a.
But isn't that very close to the road?
Again, so you'll see on the aerial, we have a whole row of landscaping that's in between the actual road. This is 10 foot to our property line, and then the actual travel way of Main Street extends out further beyond that travel way.
How
So
much?
I mean, you do have a curb that jets in towards our property as it gets near the entrance, just as an acceleration and deceleration lane, but I mean, it looks like it's at least, yes.
Okay, so now in the winter time, there's a snowstorm, you have those gigantic plows coming through.
Mhm.
Isn't that kind of dangerous?
Now, the plows would be 17, 18 feet away if they're up against the curb line from these carports that are 20 feet over top of them. The
Because they're
carports
on
are-
the parkway all the time, the
Yeah,
trucks.
the trucks aren't 20 feet tall. The fire trucks have enough vertical clearance to drive under these carports. So
I'm not thinking that way, I'm just thinking the panels themselves.
panels are all at least the bottom of the carport is 14 feet off of the ground on our site. It would be even higher off of the road from Main Street, and they're all tilted the other way. So our carports are going to be 20 feet high off of the travel surface, and a plow truck is not 20 feet tall as it's going. There's no concern that we would have with the proximity and the location of these panels in relation to the travel way along Main Street, that they would be hit by anything. That would be not in our best interest to put something in a location that could be.
And I'd imagine you have the same concern with light poles and traffic signals and things like that as well.
Exactly. So if you look at it like a traffic signal, a snowplow can drive perfectly underneath the traffic light. That's something similar to what we'd be looking at here.
Just want to confirm the project won't alter the available amount of parking spaces on the site?
No, we don't lose any parking spaces as part of the application. All the columns are done where 4 parking spaces meet. They're done in the corner so that cars pull in. Typical if you pull into a shopping center, or what's there right now, you've got light poles that are in those same locations. They're in the middle of 4 spaces so that it does not impact a single car's ability. And we would be doing something similar with the steel columns.
The solar panels, the company that puts them in pays X amount of dollars to the church, correct?
Yes, that's part of their lease. They're leasing the parking lot in order to construct these carports, and they pay a fee to the church as part of their agreement.
And then the solar panel actually, the company gives the money, gets the money, and or the electricity goes to Jersey Central Power and Light or whatever company they're going to give it to.
Correct. They install the infrastructure for the carports, they install the panels, they install the equipment, they own and they operate all of this equipment, all the panels throughout the duration of their lease. That power is generated and distributed back to the electric company.
So the church really has nothing to do with it.
Nope.
It's the solar panel company that runs it all.
Correct. Again, we do a lot of these projects on large warehouses, self-storage facilities that have an abundance of roof area. This one is not a roof area. They have an abundance of parking lot. So we are leasing that area in kind of twofold, where we have parking spaces and now we're taking the area above the parking and turning it into solar.
Okay. Any other questions?
My report is that asked if there were going to be time rooms for lights on the panels.
We would work with the church to make sure that it's consistent with the lighting patterns that they have now. This would not be something if their lights turn off at a certain time, the panels underneath would do as well. Yep.
Are the lights on the panels powered by the panels?
They would be. Yep, they would be. Yep.
Anyone else?
I have a comment. There was just a solar panel company that went under last year. These companies fold very easily.
I mean, my office has been doing applications for solar landscape probably for 5 or 6 years now, I think. And we have projects all over the state. So, I mean, I can have Mr. Weil sort of address that, but you know, how his company functions.
Sure. A lot of the solar panel companies that you hear about going under are largely residential solar companies because they're being outcompeted by companies like us, where you don't have to put it on your roof, or you can be an off-taker if you live in an apartment where you don't have a roof. This just ends up being a much more affordable and lower risk option for most residential homeowners.
But just to differentiate yourself, you're not putting panels on residential properties. Yeah.
No, that's the beauty of the program is you can benefit from solar without having to put it on your roof.
So it's primarily large parking lots like this. And we talked a lot about today about large industrial buildings and you're going on the roof. Those are the types of projects. we
Correct.
do.
That's our core business.
Any other questions?
At night, nothing's generated or are there?
No. In the past, I've seen solar panels kick on in a full moon. Very rare occurrence, but it's probably not going to happen.
Okay, you want to call your next witness?
And yes, our last witness will be our planner. That's Mr. Janu. Yeah, sorry.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Thank you.
So if you could just give us the benefit of your education and experience, please.
Certainly. My name is Andrew Janu, it's spelled Janiw. I'm a principal in the firm of Beacon Planning and Consulting Services, have been for the past 27 years. A bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering from the New Jersey Institute of Technology. I'm currently serving as the planner for the Borough of Carteret, the Borough of Freehold, Livingston Township.
We accept your credentials.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say I have represented private clients throughout the state and solar landscape. I think I've done in excess of 25 applications this year throughout the state. So as was mentioned, I was here in 2021 testifying when that approval was granted. There was extensive discussion at the time about the zoning and the application of the Special Economic Development 2 zone because while the property was put in the waterfront redevelopment area, it wasn't included within the plan, so there weren't any alternate standards, if you will, adopted for this. So therefore, we were adjudicated at the time in presenting tonight under the standards for the Special Economic Development 2 zone. We are asking for a D1 use variance for the solar panels, and that was granted in 2021. We are eliminating the variance that was granted at the time with respect to the rear yard setback. And while we presented the application in significantly similar configuration at the time, it was missed by both parties that the solar panels along the Main Street extension were within 10 feet of the property line where 60 feet was required. And we're here to include that variance request tonight with respect to this application. We are actually reducing the intensity of the overall scale of development while still producing the same amount of energy. It was about 3 million kilowatt hours, enough to power approximately 350 homes. You had testimony how we are reducing the number of panels from 6,171 to 4,257, and which translates to we will now be covering 497 parking spaces, whereas the previous canopies were proposed over 581 spaces. So that's kind of the reduction of the scale just in terms of size, but still generating the same amount of energy. So in preparation for this evening, I did review your ordinances, your master plan, the prior approval. I've reviewed the review letters that were issued relative to this application, as well as the application and all the correspondence related to that. With respect to your master plan, I think the latest reexamination report was in 2023. And in fact, in that reexamination report, there is a recommendation that reads, the incorporation of renewable energy and efficient building design and development projects to manage energy use should be encouraged. And we are on point with that recommendation within your master plan. And as this board knows, a variance isn't granted for the sole benefit of an applicant. There has to be a public purpose, and I believe there are several that are advanced by this application. Public purposes are defined within the municipal land use law. There are 16 reasons with 4055D, and I believe those that are advanced by this application include A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. I'll address this in a little bit more detail when I go to the D1 variance, but renewable energy sources have been recognized by the state legislature as something that's inherently beneficial, meaning it's something that's a general benefit to the entirety of the population and should be treated in a special manner. Essentially, the tag of inherently beneficial satisfies the positive criteria in the D1 variance, and we concentrate on the negative criteria. I also want to discuss that as part of that, we do discuss health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And I've been doing solar applications probably for an excess of 20 years. And to answer your question regarding, not that I'm an expert in the chemistry behind solar panels, but I've learned enough over the years to understand there are two types of solar panels. There's a cadmium-based panel and a silicon-based panel. Virtually every application I represented throughout the state of New Jersey is a silicon-based panel, which is made out of silicon, which is essentially the same material that we make. It's a sand that we make glass out of, and it goes here, and it's a non-toxic material. Silicon is non-toxic. The cadmium panels, which were probably part of that special that you watched with respect to solar panels, is a toxic chemical. Those are also reflective panels, which is why nobody uses them. They have a film with a chemical underneath them to generate the electricity. They're actually cheaper than the silicone panels, but virtually no one I know uses those, and I haven't seen a cadmium panel, quite frankly, in over 20 years when I first saw somebody represent the two and discuss the differences between the two. But this is strictly a silicone base, and it's a very safe material. The second purpose of municipal land use law that we advance is to provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. So this application was already heard by this board. It was deemed that this is an appropriate type of accessory use for this. While the energy generated here isn't for the church itself, it does go back to the grid and benefits the public at large. 51% of the energy will be offered as a priority to affordable housing units, to low and moderate income housing units. The rest is available to the general public. So I do think it's a good location. Excuse me. And will work well with the parking lot. These types of community solar panels, as was mentioned, typically go on rooftops, go in parking lots and the like. It is an appropriate type of location for this use. M is to coordinate the various public and private procedures and activities shaping land development with a view of lessening the cost of such development and the more efficient use of land. Essentially, what we're adding here is a secondary use that generates a clean energy source without adding additional impervious coverage, without additional drainage requirements. So in terms of lessening the cost and furthering that purpose, I think we're on point. And finally, the N, which speaks for itself, is to promote utilization of renewable energy sources. So take a drink of water real quick. My apologies, getting over a cold and tending to dry out. Which leads us to the D1 variance relief that we're seeking. And as I mentioned, solar facilities such as this are recognized by the state legislature as inherently beneficial. And that's defined within the municipal land use law as a use which is universally considered of value to the community because it fundamentally serves the public good and promotes the general welfare. Such uses include, but aren't limited to, hospitals, schools, childcare facilities, group homes, and wind, solar, or photovoltaic energy facilities and structures. So we do fall within that. So when an inherently beneficial use has been recognized to satisfy the positive criteria of a D1 variance, that shifts the focus to the negative criteria. And the legislature established that when we're looking at inherently beneficial, excuse me, the appropriate test to measure the negative criteria is what's known as the SICA balance test. And there are four prongs to that. The first is to identify the public interest at stake. The public interest at stake here is the generation of clean, community available energy. The second is to identify any detrimental effects that'll be generated from the grant of the variance. So here we look at noise, traffic, trash. None of that's going to be compounded by this application. What we are doing is asking for a relief to put the panels within 10 feet of the Main Street extension. However, we're going to mitigate that through buffering and planting. If you look at, I believe it's pages 10 and 11 of the landscape plan, you'll see there are trees planted along along Main Street extension there in order to soften the impact of that. And then finally, we weigh the positive and negative criteria in terms of what nuisances, what factors have we identified that would create a substantial detriment to the public. I don't believe there are any. I think we further the purposes of your most recent master plan reexamination, and we are providing clean energy to the community. So when we look at this imbalance, I do think it's a good application. Excuse me. Finally, going to the C variance. We are seeking a setback variance of 10 feet where 60 is required. We are mitigating that through the use of landscape buffering. Overall, we're reducing the intensity of the size of the panels and the massing of the panels that was approved in 2021. So when we look at this unbalance, it relates to a specific piece of property. It furthers purposes of the municipal land use law. The benefits outweigh any detriments. And finally, we do advance the purposes of your land use ordinance and master plan. So I think when we look at both the D and the C variances, we can adjudicate this in the affirmative. It's a good application. And again, everyone seeks to promote green energy now.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
You said there was no danger to the cadmium.
Sorry.
We're not using the cadmium panels.
You're not?
These are silicone-based panels.
Okay. And there's no lead in those panels either?
Well, anything with an electrical connection has lead. So there's lead solder, but it's insignificant amount. The panels themselves, when you're worried about breaking them, that's a silicone-based panel. It's essentially a sand product.
It also states that the dangers are electrical shock, and that could be from the way it's installed or just from the panel itself.
So these are all subject to inspection. Your inspectors will be reviewing these installations. They'll all be done in conduit and all be directed towards the essentially the compound with the inverters and the transformers, which will ultimately link to the grid. It is a regulated process that's inspected.
And the end of life solar panels, what happens with the removal?
Typically, once they're removed, they're recycled. There is still viability in them, and they get, quite frankly, resold to someone who's not necessarily looking to have the most efficient panels.
Okay, say you decide, or whoever is paying for this, they decide they no longer want the panels. What happens then?
Well, there is a plan for the removal and again, they could be recycled, they could be
So you
either
wouldn't just
resold or-
leave them there?
They're not abandoned in place, no, never.
Okay.
There's actually quite a value to them at the end of the life cycle because of the aluminum and the panel itself, which can be resold.
Is fires one of the dangers of them?
Not when installed properly, and in this type of situation, over a rooftop, over a non-combustible surface, no. I don't believe so.
Mr. Fowler?
No other questions?
No questions. Mr. Cornell? Anyone from the board have any questions of this witness?
I'd just like someone to explain that the there was another approval, Jay. I think it was in your memo of, by the,
Mr. Chairman, you may recall, this applicant was scheduled to be before you a couple months ago. And we had brought to their attention the Riverton approval. They had to widen what's now known as Riverton Boulevard, used to be Chevalier Avenue, and reconfigure the parking lot on the church property. The original plans that were provided didn't take that into consideration, so since then, they've revised the plans to include the Riverton improvements, so they're not impacting what Riverton was proposing. So what's before you now does not conflict with Riverton.
there was another board that had also had a voice in this. I guess the economic development.
Oh, the redevelopment agency, yes.
Just explain how that fits in with everything.
Because this is in a redevelopment area, the first step in the process is to appear before the redevelopment agency and get their concurrence. They had signed off on the previous approval. They also signed off on the amended approval, and I provided a copy of their sign off with my report. So redevelopment agencies had to sign off because this is in a redevelopment area.
They granted their approval.
They granted approval and gave permission to come before this board with the revised application.
They don't grant site plan approval. That's why
Right.
we're here tonight, but
Yes.
yeah.
And the planning board approval came in 2021.
Well, this board approved this application in 2021, and this board also approved the modifications to the church property for the Riverton project, which had to do with roadway widening.
Right, yeah, 2021, it still had that D variance, so it was before your zoning board.
Any other questions? No further questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have no further witnesses. I'll just very briefly say, I think we've, per Mr. Janu's testimony, we've, satisfied the positive and negative criteria. I think we've explained how the process works, how they get installed, how they get removed, that there's no real safety concerns. So we would submit that this application should be approved as presented.
You say the positive and negative. What negative have you shown?
Well, Mr. Janu can certainly address that better than I can, but when I referenced the negative criteria, so we've shown that it isn't detrimental to the neighborhood, and we've shown that it is not detrimental to the zoning plan or the master plan, no substantial detriment to the zoning plan or the master plan. In fact, I think Mr. Janu's testimony was that it was consistent with the master plan. Yeah.
And how that's a negative. Okay.
Oh, okay.
No further
That's
questions?
it, yeah.
Your
Oh,
testimony rests at this
Yes,
point?
yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we're resting now.
Okay, I'm going to open this to the public. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in reference to this application? Hearing no one from the public, I'm going to close the public portion. What's the pleasure of the board concerning this application?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second to approve this application. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein? Yes. Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Casandi?
No.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you. Have a good evening.
we will make this resolution next month
Sure. Thank.
and
Just send
then,
me the transcript.
Yes, once we have them, I'll send them to you. Yeah, yeah, I'll make sure it gets where it's to go. All right, thank you.
the only thing that we have left on, has everyone had the opportunity to look over the November 25th regular minutes meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
A pleasure concerning those minutes.
Second.
Motion to accept. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Abstain?
Mrs. Gottstein? Yes. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Casandi?
Abstain.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to let everyone take notice here that our next meeting is January the 28th at 7:30, and that is our reorganization meeting. Usually every year we have it at 7 o'clock. We're changing that where it's, the reorg will be at 7:30, and then right after the reorg, we'll have our regular meeting. Why waste an extra half an hour when we can do that in 5 to 10 minutes? So the reorganization meeting is January the 28th at 7:30.
Resolution from last meeting.
Oh, no, I'm waiting on a transcript and then.
So we have to wait on that one. The last thing I want to mention is, this is our last meeting of 2025. I want to thank everyone for your cooperation with everything that we did this year. I thank you for making my job a lot easier. And it was a pleasure working with everyone here. And I hope to see everyone next year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. And with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. This meeting is now adjourned.